Are you ready for another one? I know I am ready. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I see you out there in the world of all the spaces. There's so many places we're streaming today, and I'm so happy to have you out there. So, we are going to get started with another show. You are going to love this one. It's all the things, it's all the non scary things. So, we're going to embrace some tech today. We're going to talk about it because it is fabulous. All right, everybody, here we go. I'm your host, Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. And it's an interview series that has been coming to you for 9 years now. We bring you guests from all over our beautiful globe, over 1,000 of them now. Can you believe it? And today we have the very knowledgeable and the very wonderful Alex. He is an AI architect. And yes, we are building it. We are building it and making it work for us, who has been in the industry for over 9 years, and he's even been asked by Google to consult for some of their clients. So when I tell you I bring you the best, I bring you the best. So, Alex, tell us uh, how you jumped on so quickly to the AI world. Like that's the question I want to know, because you're much like me in the podcast space. You were jumping on the AI bandwagon, and I was popping on my podcast 9 years ago, just about the same time.
Absolutely. So it's actually very similar to the story you told me about yourself, where were interested in the topic before it even exploded. So for me, I've been in software for over 9 years now. And it was about a year and a half before ChatGPT even came out.
Mm,
And I started working with this startup in my free time, and they were trying to do the NLP, so
mm-hmm,
natural language processing type of
mm-hmm,
stuff that solved very similar problems to what all the large language models do now. And so it was just kind of
mm.
getting exposure there. And then once ChatGPT came out, I knew right away, like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I had a pretty good stance on how it works and was seeing a lot of people struggle with it. So I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity to really help a
Yeah,
lot.
big time. Yeah, and what fascinated me was I've been teaching just some basics and understanding a few of the differences for AI myself. And really, if you think about it, AI has been here a very long time. Like you can versions of AI, right? You can go back to MailChimp and, spell correct and like all of these little things, and Zapier, and, Make's been out there a little while. I've been playing with, and some of my team members and myself have gotten certified in N8N, but it's really so much bigger. Right now, the opportunities and the possibilities are wild west and limited truly only to our imagination of what can be built. What I really love, and this will age me, and this will tell you how long I've been paying attention, is the if this then that, right? And that's really a lot of what AI is okay, if this thing triggers and happens, then we want this thing to happen, and then we want that thing to happen, and you just continue to make it talk to each other, and connecting it in different ways. But the fascinating thing is people think, oh, I can just have an AI robot employee and I'm good to go. But someone has to monitor that employee. Someone has to make sure that the things are all still talking to each other, and that something hasn't make it broken, and how, and monitor how many, those token dollars can eventually add up, and how many different functions you've got going. So there's so much to think about with it. And I think mostly is the problem similar to home design, and similar to I love that you call yourself an architect, and similar to remodel, is where someone sees an old broken down home. you know there's a not too many, there's a special percentage of the population who looks at that and says, oh, well, if you tear down this wall and you add on here and you put up here and you do this, it's beautiful. And the other person's looking at them like, I see, you know windows hanging off and doors on, on their side. And I don't know what you're looking at, but it doesn't look good to me, And so they developed those software programs so that you could say, and this is the house that it was, and now here's the house that it is. And I feel like you're kind of that link between the person who says, okay, I know AI can help me in my business somewhere, but I have really no idea exactly how. Like, here's all the things I wish just magically would happen, in my business, but, how do I make that? How does AI communicate with that? So, do you feel like as an architect, that's kind of where you come in, or what are clients coming to you for?
Absolutely. So you brought up a couple really good points right there. The first one was that AI isn't necessarily a thing that you just drop in and it functionally works. It's not here to replace people, it's really here to speed up the people who learn how to use it well. And so my clients, the ones that are really going to be successful, they come to me trying to figure out, okay, Alex, what do we need to do to prepare to use it effectively? And then what can it actually do for us once we're ready? Because AI is more of a privilege than a necessity for most people or
Mhm.
most businesses.
Well, and I
Because I've
think the
seen,
third thing is, and how do we stay human and relationship and still nurture our customers and our employees in a very human way, but still also take care of and take advantage of these amazing tools.
yeah, I love that because that's something that I was actually just having a discussion about a couple days ago with someone. And AI is still really good at the logistical things. And the latest AI, because as you described, it's been around for a really long time in different
Mhm.
forms. But the large language models, as they call them now, is really good at handling abstract ideas in natural language. But it's something that you still have to be very considerate about, where it still needs the structure in order to be successful.
Mhm. So what, give us some examples, because I really do believe our imagination is our biggest limitation in what's
Mhm.
happening in the world right now with AI. So talk to us about maybe case studies or examples, or, who's going to come to you and what are we going to get achieved, and what problems are we solving, and, you know, give us some more in-depth examples so that people can begin to imagine themselves working with you and solving problems that they have and they're facing.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the instances where I was able to help was someone wanted to he worked with insurance, which I don't know how familiar you are with insurance, but technology is not their strong point. It's a
And fun
very
and exciting and so many, compliance issues and
oh yeah.
yeah,
No, it's very much a I want to be safe, which is great, right? Because when I get insurance, I want it to work and I want it to feel
yeah,
safe.
exactly.
Um, and so what he was looking at is he was looking to build out a website where people could interact with their it would track multiple different pieces. So being able to get the insurance, and it was specifically for building out a trust and handling all the pieces of insurance. And part of that was a questionnaire and process that he wanted to set people through in order for them to be able to fully understand, oh, this is why I'm doing it, and potentially even be able to pass it on to future generations. These
Mhm,
are our values, for example, and this is how it's going to be governed. And in order to do that at a larger scale, he really wanted to explore how he could integrate AI into that process. And so he brought me in. We worked with his engineers and we figured out, okay, how do we start a project? What does it look like to be maintainable over time and really make this successful? And so I
mhm,
walked him through, for one example, is the idea of determinism. So historically, AI has been what's called supervised learning,
mhm,
where you're trying to optimize to predict a specific outcome. So for example, the prediction models for, Facebook and TikTok, those are
mm,
trying to figure out, okay, what's the video that they're most likely to watch next?
mm,
Versus these large language models, they're really built around still statistical probability, but it's a lot deeper into, okay, just generating more information. And so it can get really easy to lose track of what's going on within your system when they're just kind of generating, not going to call it random content, but a lot less structured content. In this case, language and words. And so you want to be able to reduce that amount of non-determinism, which is the parts that you can't necessarily predict fully. And that's where, by keeping that out, but still introducing just enough to get to that end result, it's finding that balance. And
Mm,
that's what I can help people with. And then another example that I could give you is a lot of companies, they know that they want to integrate software and really fill out their processes because operations is kind of my
mhm,
specialty from my background. And they think like, oh, we're on paper and pencil right now, or sticky notes. We don't even know where the sticky notes live. And that's a great opportunity for them to come to me. We talk through, we figure out what their objectives are, how they would measure success, understand what that value is, just to really make sure that we're on track for what can help them the most. And then we start designing or architecting their software processes to really let their business take off.
mm. Now, are you working with mid-sized corporations or larger corporations? I know you've even, consulted with some of Google clients, so that seems to me in my mind much larger industry, or you are still able to help the smaller entrepreneur who's maybe an author, coach, speaker, online course developer, someone who's, running masterminds or summits or some of their own projects, or are you more focused in the corporate space where they have 50 to 100 or 300 employees?
Yeah, so I'm focused more in the medium-sized business. So that would
Mhm,
be a company that does about 2 to 50 million. That's generally where I can help.
mhm,
And especially being a smaller team, it's just going to be easier for us to actually get stuff done in a timeline that makes sense
mhm,
for the client. And then I'm also looking at offerings and how I can support the people who, or the smaller businesses as well, through
mhm.
educational webinars and things like that.
Oh, I love that. I love that you're doing that. Okay. So what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, so if you want to find me, you can go to my website. It's aluz.ai, aluz.ai.
ALUZ.ai. And
Exactly.
on that site, what can they find? What are they gonna be
And
able
on that site, they have the key pieces. They can schedule a discovery call if they want to meet
wonderful.
with me right away. There's
Mhm,
also access to, or a way to get to my, I have a form that'll enable people to understand, okay, what do I need to think about with AI? What are some of the latest tools and just all the things that business owners need to know about AI? And then also just a way to contact if you want to get to me through email or something like that.
I love that. So, is and the best way is to have a discovery call and find out maybe what workshops you have coming from that, or
Yeah, exactly.
is there a calendar on
Definitely
the
schedule time
website?
with me. And then I would love just to have a chat and kind of figure out where you're at and what you think you need help with. I think that's a great start over, I've gotten some like emails and things like that, but the lack of context can be really difficult. And so I just generally tell
Mhm.
people hop on the 15-minute discovery call. And I've seen a lot of success that way.
I have 2 things that come to mind right away. One, I found it fascinating, and would be interesting to tackle, um, is listening to you talk about how say like LinkedIn or Alignable or, any of the other social, Facebook or whatever, any of the different platforms, or even Reddit or, Tumble or any of these, to be able to predict and figure out, okay, what does my content need to look like so it'll be the most attractive and viral for these platforms based on what's happening right now. I mean, I'm curious to think, um, if there's a way to play with that. And then, so, I'm not going to put you on the spot to solve the problem right now, but these are, that's a pretty good one, right? That's a pretty good way to think about it is
Yeah.
instead of making content and hoping it's going to go viral, what if we use all this great technology that's out there to begin to pay attention and give us clues and then design content that is relevant to my community and audience and what I do, but also relevant to the platform on the based on the timeline that it's getting scheduled out there for a change, you
Mhm.
know? Wouldn't
Yeah.
that wouldn't that be something?
It's so interesting. So, what I think is fascinating with that is there's only a short time where that'll work
Yeah.
because with AI, the way it works out, everything starts to be very similar and kind of the same. And to your point earlier,
Mhm.
maintaining that humanness, I think, is what's going to allow people to connect with your content and
Mhm.
really let it take off. So it's finding that balance of, okay, when's the best time to post, for example, but still understanding like, oh, this is what we need to post and how to tweak it and still make it feel like something people can connect to well.
Yeah, but I know there's a way to say, put a timeline, like, so that, every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, right?
Yep.
When you get up as a robot, go and check these five platforms and see what, over the last 3 days, what has gone viral, what's trending, whatever. That a way we can design the post that's going to go out, the 3 or to 5 posts that are going to go out over these 4 or 5 platforms to, I don't know, somehow ride that wave. I feel like it's catching a wave,
Hmm.
and you could have this employee, this AI robot, go and gather that information so that you can come up with something that's more relevant and will take flight, right? Again,
Yeah.
keeping your human, like, that's a good idea. And then the other one is figuring out how to use AI in a way that helps all these people drive traffic to their book, their courses, their masterclass, their 3 day summit, their webinar, their workshop, because getting attendees in is one of the biggest challenges, right? And I
Hmm.
really think this is something, if designed well, again, we could be leveraging this amazing tool to help us all achieve. So, those are just some of my secret wish lists. If I threw a quarter in the wishing well,
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
world of AI, that I would like to see. And then I know there's some software out there that does this, but I think more cohesively, maybe in an N8N or a Make or some sort of more advanced model. Once that content is out there, to have anytime someone likes it, something nice to be said to that person and a thank you and a comment back, an appropriate comment based on a model you train to be in your voice to reply to everything in a natural human way. So it, you know, um, I don't know. I think there's just so many things that could happen.
Yeah.
And and I think also being very transparent to your community that, you've cloned yourself and you're training, and hey, sometimes when you hear a comment from me, sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's this amazing GPT I created or whatever it is, right? And tell me what you think, right? And play and talk back, and because it's also new. People are interested and fascinated. Like, if I
Mhm.
ever had an AI bot call anybody, I would absolutely have them check a box that says, "Hey, what do you feel like playing with and talking to, robot Jessie? She's going to give you a call if you check this box or if you text this number. She'll give you a call and answer all the questions that you might have about our masterclass, our summit, our membership." Or whatever, but only if you want her to. And some people are really curious to hear, well, what is it going to sound like? And what is it going to say if I say this? And, talk to it about the weather and your favorite movie and, whatever makes you laugh. and find out what mine are too, maybe even, right? Because some people are interested in playing with it now. Some people are already bothered and don't want to ever talk to a robot. But I think there's also people who are curious. We still have the human curiosity at our benefit right now with
Mhm.
the wild west of AI. So what else would you like to share? I mean, I know already all the things, and I think I don't want us to move on to a tip without reminding them that AI can save them money. It can make them money. It can become an ATM machine if designed well. So can systems of all kinds. Reevaluating your systems and your processes in your company can be a game changer of freedom for both time and really truly a funnel of money right into your bank account. Um, and I don't think we gave that enough of a of a shout on your journey story and how you serve customers before we move into our tips. So, any other thoughts
Cool.
on that?
Yeah, you brought up a really cool concept. And so AI can be really good to help people engage with their audience in a way that they otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Hmm.
And whether that be someone who is a content creator or even just a business. So a really common situation is a business, they don't have people on the phones after hours.
Hmm.
But rather than having someone call and then not get anyone, or call and maybe they leave, just their name, maybe their number, a business can have a voice agent pick up and then they have that
Hmm.
level of engagement and you can say like, oh, this is, after hours AI here. And if
Hmm.
you're open to it, let us play around and see if we can get your information in a very structured way so we can get back to you more quickly. And then that'll help businesses, get the information of their leads a lot more effectively. It can also be used for lead re-engagement, different things like that in a way that's really productive for people and doesn't feel overly pushy or draining for people. Where because I've seen a lot of people get there are kind of two camps, right? There's,
Hmm.
oh man, AI is so cool, we still want to play with it. And then I've talked to another camp where it's like, we're drained, we're over AI, I want to go to the human right away.
Hmm. Well, and I think it's about, like I mentioned, being transparent and ethical, saying,
Yeah,
hey, we're closed. The humans are all sleeping or having dinner with their families. You can leave us a message or you can talk to Sally Bot. She's funny, she's interesting, and you can ask her all kinds of questions and you can get all kinds of things answered. And you can learn some about us and the staff. You can find out our favorite color. You can find out what movie we love. You can find out why we started the business to begin with. You can ask her all kinds of questions. Your choice, right? Leave us a message. Here's this because we're people and we're being with our people because business
yeah,
is closed. But go talk to Sally Bat. And here's if you can make it fun and a little funny, people will play.
right.
I mean, and they just may also find along the way that it served them. Oh, I could find out, all the questions I wanted to know. And there you go. So,
Yeah, exactly.
okay, give us a tip. Something that we can use in our AI world today that will make our lives better, that will save us some money, that it will make us some money even better. Give us something good, Alex. Give us a tip.
Perfect. So, as we discussed, AI is great. It's super helpful. It is here to stay. It is something that businesses will need to incorporate at some level. But as I mentioned earlier, AI is also a privilege. It's not something you just hop right into. And so, what
Mhm,
I'd really recommend for businesses is before you focus on AI, focus on getting your processes and procedures down and written
mhm,
so that when you are ready to incorporate AI, you have all of that built out, you have all of it properly structured because AI is going to need that data. So that's focus on getting your standard operating procedures or your SOPs down, cleaning data if you do happen to have structured data within your company, depending on your size and things like that. And then any other processes within your business, the more you can have documented so that the AI can kind of slurp it up and then give it back to you in a more helpful way.
yeah, so following the path and the map. Mind maps are great for this. Like, what's the journey your customer goes on? and what do you want them what do you want them to hear or learn, and the frequently asked questions, and how do you want those answered, and putting all that together and building out that map is brilliant advice. I give the same advice when people are we have a VA agency, so we have a ton of VAs globally that help our clients get a bunch of stuff done, and I tell them to think about the tasks that they're doing every day. And um, you can easily record yourself and talk to yourself about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it, and accomplish it at the same time in pretty much the same amount of time as not talking to yourself and recording. And then you have that as the beginning of a potential training so that you may never have to do that task again. That's exciting, right? You
Right.
know, and that's the same with AI, right? When you start to build out the journey and your processes, and there's multiple processes, right? There's one about what the client journey goes on, and then there's one what happens after the sales, and what's your referral process, and what's your billing, and what's your onboarding of your new employees, and what's the training process. All of these have to be identified and broken down. And guess what? It's not as scary anymore because you can ask good old Chatsy to help you out and give you an outline, and what are all my systems, which systems should I have in my business, and what does that look like, and then get your act together, and then have a discovery call to make the best of it with Alex to see where do we start, and here's where we feel like we're strong with our systems, and here's where there aren't any, because sometimes there aren't any. So or we're working in two different silos, and how do we make those two platforms talk to each other, and how do we pull it all together and connect it? And that's another beautiful thing about AI,
Yeah.
and connecting things. All right, how about a nonprofit cause you care about?
Okay, perfect. So I'm a huge dog person. I adopted my first dog back in March.
I'm
And
laughing at you because I've seen a cat walking around behind you like the whole time we're talking. He's like,
oh,
I'm a
that's my
cat
dog.
person.
She's very
That's your
cat-like.
dog.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
It's a
You
very
might get to see her
stealthy.
jump up back here at some
That
point.
is so cat-like. You want to hear something funny? I have a cat that's dog-like. It plays
Okay,
fetch for 20 minutes solid with a little hair tie, round hair tie. If you toss it, she goes and brings it back to you, and you toss it, and she goes and
that's
I mean, it's
incredible.
hysterical. She's also a guard cat. She'll sit and guard the front door.
Oh, yeah. She meow at people when they come by.
She behaves like a dog. So
That's
it's
beautiful.
hysterical. Okay, I'm sorry. Please continue about your dog. I'm like, wait, you're talking about the wrong animal because I thought it's
Okay, so she's 25% husky, and one of the things that I heard about huskies before I interacted with them is that they're very cat-like, so I can see the
oh,
confusion.
yeah.
Uh,
That's wonderful. So okay, so your nonprofit cause is for animals. Tell us a
yeah,
bit.
so big into dogs. I actually adopted her from Poso Rescue out of Boulder,
Mhm.
Colorado, and so that is the cause that I care about. Depending on where you're located, it doesn't have to be that specific one, but
Mhm.
definitely engaging with your shelters, with your rescues. There's
Mm.
actually a study that came out a little while ago, and it estimated that the value of a dog specifically is roughly equivalent to about making an extra 90,000 a year. So something to
Wow.
consider. Also
Yeah.
on par with having a spouse or close friends.
That's awesome. I love that. And the reason we started this from show number 1 is our hope was to spread some awareness and inspire someone out there, maybe you, to give time, treasure, or talent to either the cause that our guests would mention, or remember that you have a cause that you're in love with, and life just gets in the way sometimes. And you're like, oh, yeah, I haven't checked on them in a while. Let me see what they need. Maybe they need extra dog food or play toys, or whatever it is that they need. Or maybe it's the homeless shelter that you love. They always need extra socks and paper goods and products. And so you could give time, treasure, or talent, or spread some awareness, or make a really nice post, and blast it out about the cause you care about. And if that happens, then we've inspired someone in our time together, Alex, to do something so much bigger than you and I. And that is why this has always been a segment on our show.
I love that.
Okay, moving on to the stacks and stacks and mountains and mountains and my love of books. And yes, I love trees too. but I really love a real book. So I read all the different ways, audio. I try to stay away from digital reading. I know I'm supposed to, but I really love a book. But I buy secondhand books and I regift and I do all the good things to take care and love our books. So, how about a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
Yeah, absolutely. This one was very impactful for both, actually. So, growing up, I was relatively introverted, and I definitely was that type of person. Oh, I'm going to do everything myself. I have all the
Mhm.
context, I have all the knowledge, so I'm just going to get it done. And I'll have to work twice as hard to get twice the results, but I'll figure it out. And the book I'm thinking of is called Who Not How.
Mhm.
And it discusses not necessarily thinking about how you will get things done, but thinking about who can help you with it. Because everyone
Mhm.
has different strengths, weaknesses. And if you can have someone help you that this area is their strength. So, for example, if I needed marketing, I would definitely come to like a Jesse. And that thought and that whole concept has drastically impacted me and allowed me to help a lot of my clients with that as well. I mean, the whole point of coming to me, right, is you're looking for who can help you out rather than how you can do it yourself.
Well, and the cool thing about outsourcing with consultants like us is that it's a fraction of the cost of an employee, and you get that benefit of, the working with them through a project and consulting check-in points, once a quarter or twice a year for maintenance going forward. And it's still it doesn't even touch the cost of a full-time employee. But the benefits are huge. And it also gives the employees an anchor of a person they can reach out to and ask questions and get support, and feel like they have someone there. So when you set up your relationships correctly, it's really outstanding. So outsourcing to consultants like us is just brilliant and cost saving for business, and also raising of revenue. We don't just save money; we make money for our clients. So,
Right. And one of the most valuable things I think people have is time. And you can spend years trying to figure something out, or you can come to a consultant and they'll help you get it done much more quickly.
yeah, and then also that takes, like I said, it gives the team people to talk to and listen to and ask questions or even navigate what might need to be done. And they love it because sometimes what the CEO, you guys are listening out there, the CEOs and the CFOs, sometimes they just need to hear us say, well, your team pointed out to me that some of these things, if they were addressed, these systems and processes would go much smoother. And that outside voice that someone's paying as a consultant can hold a lot of weight and really take a lot of pressure off the team and help them get some of the things that they want. And so I have been the favorite person in collaboration with some of the corporations I've worked with, and as far as the team goes, because I was able to make that push with because what are they going to do? Fire me? I mean, I'm a consultant. Okay, project's over, but I could at least speak my mind to say, you hired me for my expertise. Here's what it is. Here's what I hear your team and saying from the inside, and here's why I know those things to hold to be true, and what it'll look like as a result for you. And so you can present it sometimes in a much different way than when you're trying to knock on the boss's door and get them to adopt a concept or an idea or make a big change because, moving people's cheese around freaks them all out. And, people don't like change. So I think we are also that gentle ease of change agents. And then technology sometimes not so gentle, especially if you're changing softwares or systems or depending on what makes sense for them. Sometimes we're okay, it's a big drastic change. Everybody take a deep breath. You all have your parachutes on. It's all going to be okay. you know, and you have to guide them through the process like that. And then they come out on the other side and they're like, wow, we're so glad. I actually had a client like that far before the world shifted, and they had 8 locations, and they weren't, other than their annual meeting, they weren't meeting. as management. So it was a big deal to get them all to purchase cameras and get on Zoom and begin to have, monthly, quarterly meetings and begin to pull together all their training things. We got all of that smooth and running. And the first time they were like a bunch of children. They were all excited. They're like, oh, because they all knew each other, but they didn't see each other very often, right? And so they had a lot of giggles and a lot of fun. We got a lot of work done too. And then I got a call from them, in the midst of the madness when the world was shifting, and COVID happened, and they called me and they said, we are so much better off because you pushed us through that process before all this happened. So we had all the equipment, we already had the routine, and they were just so grateful that I had, taken them and pioneered them through something else, and pushed them through because I'm like, you guys need to communicate. And so sometimes we're that, consultants have to do the hard stuff. And I think that's when the big changes happen and the bigger success, right? If you're going to leap to a different financial bracket of success, you have to take some of these bigger leaps together. And often a consultant makes all the difference. So before we go into the final thought, anything else about you or the business yourself that you'd like to share?
Um, I think we covered a lot of good stuff.
We did.
I
We really
think
did.
the only other aspect is just kind of, yeah, reiterating. I think it's so fascinating because people will get stuck in what they're trying to accomplish. But I try to
Mhm.
remind them, all the clients that I've had, they're very intelligent people or many very intelligent people within an organization, depending on how big they are. And they can get stuff figured out. But what
Mhm.
I'm really here to do is here to help you get it figured out more quickly, more
Mhm.
cheaply, and with less stress. And I
Mhm.
think you covered a lot of that stuff really well. So that was super cool.
I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and I love what you're doing. What you're bringing to the world and how you're helping there is needed and timely and fantastic. So it's been really awesome to interview you, Alex.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, out there, if you're thinking, hey, I'm on cutting edge information, I've got things going on, I can improve someone's personal life, I can help them grow their business, I've written books, I've got courses and programs and workshops. Well, come on, get on the show, reach out to us and our team. We'd be glad to feature you. But before we say goodbye today, we're going to ask Alex to share one final thought, a piece of information or inspiration as we go.
Absolutely. So there's so much hype around AI, and a lot of the people can be doom and gloom, like, oh my gosh, it's going to replace everybody. No one's going to have jobs. Do we need to get on universal basic income just so people can live? And what I want to say to that is AI is definitely worth learning if you intend to have your business for more than a couple years. I've met some people, they're like, Alex, I'm closing up shop in a few years. I'm not going to bother. But then, yeah, others who might feel stuck because they don't know where to start because it is a pretty complex topic, and maybe they use ChatGPT or, Claude or Grok or any of those, but they don't really know how to take advantage of it further. I think it is
Mhm.
important that you continue to explore it and just kind of figure it out for yourself. Keeping in mind, though, that we described in the beginning of the call, it's not here to replace people. It really is here to just radically enhance those who are willing and able to learn how to use it. And I just urge you to continue to explore it, put the time in, even if you're not immediately seeing results. As things continue to develop, it'll change your life for the better by
It really
knowing how to
can.
interact with it.
It really can. And it can also help you think differently, right?
Mhm.
Because there's different perspectives in there. And I love that about that. Thank you so much again for all your great advice and for being on the show, Alex. I've really enjoyed having you. And I am your host, Jessica Koch. This has been another Profound Professionals. And until the next one, guys, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.